Right now across the U.S., more than 5.5 million people are acting as caregivers for elderly or disabled veterans, and many of them are doing that without pay.
And as Tim Miller shares in tonight's Family Focus, it's a situation that may sound familiar.
Taking care of a disabled loved one is often a labor of love, but over the past year, the pandemic has all too often added an emphasis on the labor part.
The financial strains of caregiving are really immense, and we find that in general, family caregivers spend about $7,400 a year out of their own income for out-of-pocket costs of caregiving.
Veteran and military caregivers tend to be younger and take on their roles for longer periods of time compared to the typical family caregiver. That's often because the person they're caring for has service-related injuries that need attending to for the rest of their lives.
These younger caregivers are dealing with things like traumatic brain injury, PTSD, things that tend to be lifelong conditions that are dealt with or need a lot of support.
In fact, AARP caregiving expert Amy Goyer says nearly 70% of caregivers are looking after someone with a long-term condition. It's something she knows well.
It could be people of all ages, from the service member who is wounded over in Iraq or Afghanistan, to someone like my dad, who I cared for more than a decade. He was a World War II veteran and Korean War, and he had Alzheimer's.
And for caregivers, supporting that loved one grew more difficult during the pandemic, with many of them taking on more responsibilities and more of the financial burden.
Filling the gaps for what their loved one can't pay for in their own care.
For some, caring for those needs often means overlooking their own self-care, which can lead to caregiver burnout. That's where you come in.
Do some practical things that can help. Say, I'm going to bring dinner over every Tuesday night for you, and ask them, is there something I could do? And if they can't tell you, then you come up with something to really ease their burden a little bit.
You can also reach out to AARP, who has a free workbook designed to help caregivers of veterans.
It's got all these great checklists in it, things that can really help you plan and also make sure you're maximizing any benefits your loved ones and services they might get, deal with the legal aspects of the financial parts of caregiving.
Goyer says it's important to try to support those in need as well as those hidden heroes, making it easier for veterans to live independently. For Family Focus, Tim Miller, WTOL 11.